Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи! В эфире программа Ushanka Show. Hello, dear comrades. This is Ushanka Show, and I'm your host, Sergey Sputnikov.
I would watch your show more if you would stop rambling. You could get the same info and quality of content in your videos by cutting 2/3 of the blah, blah, blahing you do.
So recently I got this comment from Philip, who says, the Soviets call between themselves Comrade to think they share the communist ideals and spread communism around the world with this whole idea of destroying capitalism. That's correct. Please don't call Americans Comrade. America is the bastion of freedom and democracy and against communist dictatorship. We Americans don't embrace and accept communism. The Cold War against communism proved that. We are not comrade with communists, so please stop call American comrade, for we are always against communism. Okay, I must admit that my sarcasm antenna never worked really well, so I can't tell you for sure is the guy dead serious or he's just making fun. But anyways, I think it's a good topic to talk about comrades and talk about how we used to address each other back in the Soviet days. In Russian language, the word comrade is tavarish. Tavarish. The word tavarish was heavily used in the Soviet days, but mostly during the official events like parades, party meetings, gatherings, labor union gatherings. But in everyday life, we didn't really address each other as tavarish, comrade. And I think that was the kind of like a trend. I didn't do research, I just gone from my memory, but in 70s and 80s, we didn't call each other comrade, we didn't call each other tavarish. We used different words. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But the whole Soviet Union heard that traditional greeting, Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи, at 9 p.m. Moscow time every evening when the news program Время had begun.
Добрый вечер.
Здравствуйте, товарищи.
And of course, our dear Soviet leaders always started their speeches with traditional «Дорогие товарищи», dear comrades.
Товарищи, социализм рождает новое отношение к труду.
Товарищи, позвольте мне зачитать указ.
Товарищи, Центральный комитет партии признал необходимым.
Товарищи делегаты.
But as I mentioned earlier, in everyday conversations, we didn't use the word товарищ, and we actually had this interesting expression, Tambovsky волк тебе товарищ. A wolf from Tambov forest is your comrade, not me. So that was kind of sending the signal, or if you don't like to be called comrade, or you don't consider the guy who talks to you comrade, you just reply, Tambovsky волк тебе товарищ. A wolf from Tambov forest is your friend. And Tambov forest were considered like really dense forests that a lot of wild animals live. So that's what the wolves are. So that's your comrade, not me. More often than товарищ, which kind of had that Soviet flavor, people used expression гражданин, which means citizen. And when I think about the word гражданин, citizen, I always think about our cops, militia. So the militia always ask you, hey, гражданин, пройдемте со мной. Hey, citizen, come with me. And in their reports, they'll be written just like that. Гражданин Ivanov был задержан. So citizen Ivanov was arrested for breaking a branch or doing something else while being drunk. But in everyday life, Soviet citizens addressed each other, like people you don't know. You address them as man or a woman. So мужчина or женщина. So for example, if you in line, somebody will come behind you like, hey мужчина, are you the last one in line? Hey man, are you the last one? So that was just a normal way to communicate. You don't know people's name. You don't call them citizen or comrade. You just call them мужчина or женщина, man or woman. And towards the younger people, they'll be used молодой человек. So it's like young human or young man, but человек usually translates as human, or девушка. So young woman is девушка. So if you're trying to talk to the girl next to you on the bus, you just say, девушка, извините. I'm sorry, девушка, where's the next stop or something like that. So девушка or молодой человек. And the old people would be called дедушка or бабушка. So that's grandfather or grandmother. But even if they're not your grandparents, you still call them hey дедушка or hey бабушка. That was normal way to address people. Or we used short form of дедушка и бабушка, but it was kind of rude. Ded и баба. But дедушка or бабушка would be a nicer way to address older people. And when it came to kids, we called adults that we don't know дядя or тетя, so that's literally uncle or aunt. Even they weren't related to you, you just don't know who's that adult, you can call them hey дядя or hey тетя, something like that. So uncle or aunt, дядя или тетя. And of course we need to talk about брат, the brother. Famous movie called Brat, and we didn't address each other Brat till late 80s. That was like a new thing. I don't remember as a kid or as a teenager calling anyone Brat or Bratela. I only call Brat my little brother. Otherwise, that form of addressing another person, another guy, became popular later on, as I said, in the late 80s, early 90s. But I never called my friends bro, like Brat. And I'm shocked how American youth right now, like my daughter calls her girlfriends bros. My daughter's boyfriend called my daughter Sasha bro, and it's just so wild. But returning to the original comment about don't call Americans comrades, I'm really guilty of doing that. I love doing that to my American coworkers. I noticed a long time ago, they snap to attention, they pay attention. If I start anything, I say, hey, dear comrades, or something like that, good morning, comrades. I use that all the time. I apologize if it hurts someone's feelings, but I love using it, especially with my accent. I think it sounds cool. And yeah, I'm doing it for years, and I'm very sorry. That's a lot of fun to see how they all snap to attention because someone called them comrade. And if you do want to use a word comrade talking to anyone, it's comrade and the last name. You don't say comrade Sergey. It's not the correct way of using the word товарищ Sergey. It's going to be товарищ Sputnikov. So this is proper way of using word товарищ. That's how the comrade Stalin would do. Okay, dear comrades, дорогие товарищи, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe had a little chuckle. Don't forget to like it, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.